Right. Yeah, that's what I've been doing.
Oh,
So
that usually works out pretty well.
You'll do well.
Right.
You got it.
welcome everyone to Name Confidential Live.
Welcome everyone to Name Confidential Live. This is episode number 18, season number 2. It's a very different episode. We are going to recap our Name Uncommon Knowledge Conference that just happened in Costa Mesa, California this past week. Today I have the pleasure of introducing two of our guests, Kenton Kilmer with Adigence and Spencer Walls with Scarecrow Advisors. Welcome in.
Hello.
Thanks
Thanks
for
for
having
having
us.
us.
Yeah, this is going to be an exciting episode. I did the recap episode last year. I enjoyed it. I missed last year, so I learned a lot during the episode. This time I actually can participate because I went to the conference. So let's start it off. Did the conference meet your expectations? We'll start with Spencer and then go to Ken.
I would say it exceeded my expectations. I really appreciated all of the time connecting with fellow advisors and industry insiders. We also had a great amount of sponsors that we connected with and made some really good relationships with them. And this year, I was really blown away by all of the guest speakers that we had. I think this is my third name that I've been to, and this was by far the most relevant content to what we're seeing in our business and planning for the future. So I had a great time.
Yeah, I would say, it was another, enormous honor to be able to sponsor again here at NAAIM UK. It's just such a, vibrant, intelligent, and rigorous community. So to be able to find a home away from home from fellow statisticians, economists, stock pickers, technical analysts, quantitative analysts, it's fantastic. And just like what Spencer was saying, I mean, the speakers we had this year really set the stage very high for the amount of analytical rigor that we were going to cover, both in the formal sessions and then in the side meetings. I think highlights for me was Tony Nash with Complete Intelligence. He highlighted a background in China, and he highlighted a background working for The Economist newspaper. And those insights, I think, were really a great way to set the stage for the global macroeconomic background that we are looking at, technical and different quantitative strategies in a larger framework. And he brought some really fresh perspective into what to expect between U.S.-China relations and U.S. Geopolitics going forward into 2025. So a major highlight.
Yeah, no, I am right there with both of you. It exceeded my expectations. One thing I found interesting is I was telling Spencer that I didn't have any time to just work. I was so engaged with every part of the conference. I didn't want to miss anything. There have been times where maybe I could find a little bit of time in the past, but not this conference. I really think we're ironing out with some good topics that even if they don't apply to you directly, you can still find some value with them. And another big addition this year was the CE credits. That was a big help as well. So it was fun signing in and out to make sure we got those credits while we were there, and hopefully we continue to do that going forward.
Yeah, really beneficial. I think it was 11 hours altogether, and that really adds up. So you're not cramming at the end of the year.
It does. I mean, if you're going to go to a conference anyway, might as well get some hours out of it. So
Did they count the cornhole towards the continuing education?
that was the main one, if I remember right.
We get double continuing education for the cornhole.
Yeah. Well, it depends on how well and how far you advance, how many hours you got. So
That's why I got negative hours. They
yeah,
took them away from me for losing in the first round.
I
right.
think I maybe got 30 minutes.
Yeah, I got knocked out in the first round, but it was fun.
It was.
Full of ringers.
So the next question I got, what were some of your key takeaways from the conference?
I think one of my favorite things was the amount of time we dedicated to discussion about AI and all the different ways that AI can be integrated into your business and used as a resource to limit the amount of workload we have to put towards various topics. We really did spend a great amount of time applying it to not only financial advising and market analysis, but also the ways that you can use it as a business owner to kind of reduce the workload for a lot of your employees, streamline processing, create content. That was really helpful. Also, I heard a lot of new uses to use AI and new tools that I've never heard of before, so that was really helpful. One of the speakers, Dr. Tal Schwartz, was an is an AI researcher, and he had a lot of interesting discussions and did a great presentation about the future of AI and how he's using AI currently to do market research. So that was really interesting.
But yeah, Spencer, you hit the nail on the head. I think just the way that, Tony Nash was able to open up on the first day with the macroeconomic landscape, the way Tal Schwartz was able to really give a actionable overview of the current state of advancements in AI. And I'm looking at one of the photos I took of his slideshow, and his breakdown of some of the nuances between machine learning, large language models, Gen AI, where their applications work, where there are shortfalls. I think we were really able to benefit from a resource who's been very much entrenched in applications of this tool and of this software in a way where, yeah, you got a lot of talking heads that are like basically glorified, what do we call them? Prompt engineers. And so actually having somebody who's rolled their sleeves up and has a foot in both the financial markets as well as in AI research, I think it just really elevated the the subject matter and everybody's knowledge of how to being able to walk away a little bit more intelligent of the current status.
Yeah, I agree. I think that combined with a couple good presentations by Dr. Oliver Rees and also Zoe Ballinger, rather, um, with their market research and their trend timing indicators was really interesting. You could see how they play off each other. And I was thinking about all the ways that I could use and combine a few of the presentations and bring it back to our firm.
Definitely. Yeah, AI was one of the biggest topics there. I remember sitting in the breakout sessions, and there was some really good conversation on what everybody was utilizing and how they've improved their business in the last year. And I remember a few years ago at the same conference, AI was kind of, is this going to be something that we should look into? A lot of people were hesitant. Some advisors are still a little bit hesitant, but a lot more have opened up to figuring out how to incorporate AI in their business. Another big one for me was the talk about cybersecurity, and just making sure that I go back to our firm, check on what we're doing, see if we can make any enhancements to that. That one resonated. Of course, compliance, being the CCO of our firm, I always thinking about compliance and I've, what was it? The RIA lawyer, she said that there may be a sense of deregulation with I forget who moved into that spot, but she says even though there's going to be deregulation, doesn't mean take your foot off the pedal. You should still use this time to kind of shape up everything you're doing. It's kind of a catch up, take a breath, but keep the focus on the compliance aspect. So that was another good takeaway for me.
What you were saying, the John Sigard of
Yes.
Superior Technical Solutions. How do I pronounce his last name?
Sigard, I think that's right.
Sigard. I mean, what a robust and comprehensive way of looking at, cybersecurity best practices. I think, he had, introduced one that works really well for us. This is not a conversation about cybersecurity, but the use of, private VPN networks to limit access to databases. Wow. I mean, our team implemented something like that a little while ago, and it's just like the fact you can't even get any access to it unless you're on a private network that recognizes your computer and like won't let any other authorized devices even get anywhere near it. Really slick stuff to upgrade one's another major challenge for somebody to try to hack into your database.
Just to piggyback onto that, I just sent him an email this morning, actually, as well as a couple other folks in the IT that were IT sponsors there from examine, because like Ben was saying, the cybersecurity presentation got our brains just going, and we realized, hey, maybe there's an opportunity here to increase our security and protect our client data. And what a good way to be introduced to some really good people in the industry and find some solutions right away.
Yeah, I think I remember one other, because cybersecurity was in a couple spots. I think Axos had one of the gold sponsor breakouts. They covered cybersecurity, and I remember him saying, it's kind of like running away from the bear scenario. You got to at least be faster than the slowest person, or in this case, have at least better cybersecurity setup than the person who is at the bottom, because they're going to go after the ones that are the easiest to get into. And also they're going after smaller offices because they may not have those parameters built into their firm. So all that was resonating. It's always nice to go to a conference, get a few things that you want to bring back and be actionable about. So
Yeah, this one here from this STS again, this talk to negotiate contracts, so vendors are required to notify you in case of a breach of them, because talking about not only your own infrastructure but your vendor infrastructure, and you don't want to find out that your vendor got hacked or you had any issues in the front page of the paper. So being able to be proactive about negotiating these type of terms, I think, was another like nugget of gold to be considered, because I think all of us are trying out new tech and new things, and so being able to ask for those type of breaches, just another thing to consider when entering into new relationships.
yeah, and then it just made me think, because I think he said something like only 10 to 15% of them are reported, the cybersecurity threats, and then 45% of them go undetected. I think he had mentioned, they can get into your email and they'll sit back in your email for months, just taking in data, and you may or may not know that they're sitting in the background. So definitely some important stuff, especially in the finance industry where we do have access to sensitive data, to just make sure that we're rounding that out. So next part here, what part of the conference did you find the most valuable?
For me, I really appreciate connecting with like-minded individuals and learning from some established voices within the financial industry. I love just being a sponge and being able to absorb all the information that's shared, but also having face-to-face communication with some people that have been in the industry for 20 plus years. Also meeting people who have a great understanding of our business, our intricacies, being able to brainstorm with them and hear what they're doing and take information from them and bring it back to our staff. And you know, it's also really great to connect with younger people in the industry too. There was actually a fair amount of young people, first timers at this event. I made some really great connections. And also, like I said earlier, just to reiterate, connecting with some of the sponsors and being able to have those solutions, that are just handpicked basically for you, it's just a great experience.
Yeah, really well said, Spencer. I think it's nice how the demographic is also trending a little bit younger. I mean, I've always enjoyed being able to be one of the younger people in the room and, try to push on, hey, from the experience that we have in the room, how do we look at today and the environment that we're operating in, depending on what time scale you're looking at, how does this rhyme with previous regimes of the past? And I think especially today, when we're looking at a big regime shift, or perhaps even a normalization of market environment, post QE, going forward, having that experience is just beyond valuable. And being able to meet and converse with John Bollinger, that's awesome. I mean, man, how many times do you get to, rush shoulders with somebody who's literally formed an entire branch of technical analysis, and then see what ingenuity looks like and how it develops over time. And then on the younger side, I think Spencer, there was like a sidebar with you, me, and Sam of Even Heard. We were kind of like chewing on kind of a response of one of the later events. And we were like, yeah, we like this, we didn't like this, and we were kind of pushing against that thesis. And the one guy sort of had this kind of high level behavioral economic approach to dealing with stress and uncertainty within market conditions, and the fact that not only the content of the topics of the speeches was valuable, but then the way that it spurs conversations. And it makes me think of how a couple of the younger folks in the room were able to kind of powwow and enjoy the on the heels of that sort of node or inspiration.
Yeah, it's definitely trending towards, getting younger, and it's been nice because I remember when I started, I think it was back in 2016 with NAAIM, I came in under my father there, so I was able to integrate in pretty quickly and meet a lot of people, but I was one of maybe two people under 30. And that has completely changed since then. We're starting to get a lot of younger people. Even the sponsors had some younger members as well. So that was good to see a lot more youth there, a lot more diversity in age. And I think that's just really good for the organization, really good for the industry overall. So, and I also, Susan was telling me right before we hopped on here, we had 19 sponsors, which I think was the most we've had in like 30 years or something at a NAAIM conference. And it definitely felt that way because when we go into our breakout sessions, I would look around, I'm like, there's just tables everywhere. And Ken, you can probably talk to this as a sponsor, but one thing I heard from another member is that, one of the big differences that they see with NAAIM versus some other conferences that they go to is the members actually engage with the sponsors versus just going there, grabbing some of the freebies, and maybe just grabbing a quick fact sheet or something, and then walking away. Like we have a big intention to go out there and actually speak with the sponsors, learn from the sponsors, and engage.
Yeah, I mean, I'm worried you guys are going to raise the prices. No, I mean, certainly it was definitely the most well attended in terms of both sponsorship and in terms of individuals conference that I've been through that NAAIM has put on. And yeah, I mean, I don't know what you guys are putting in the water, but I think it's very active management has gone through a pretty hard cycle here. I was mentioning post QE, post zero rate environment that we're coming out of, and I think we're hitting this resurgence of interest in active management, and thus in turn solutions for active management. So then when you have a conference about active management, you have solutions for active management. It's sort of like a match made in heaven. And yeah, from yeah, I think there were some good freebies. I got this cool pen, lights up.
Oh yeah. I heard there were socks somewhere. Somebody was giving away socks. So there were socks, there were golf balls. I got from Direction, I got a bull and bear. I don't have them down here. There were puppets that I gave my kids when I came home, and bull and bear are very fitting with the stock market. They enjoyed them. I'll teach them what they actually mean when they get a little bit older. And oh, what was I gonna say? Shoot, I forgot my thought.
I want to give a shout out to the sponsor with the socks. I'm
Yeah.
going to find his name momentarily, but yes, the socks were a major hit. I did get one.
You did.
Nice.
Okay.
I'm probably not the target market for them, but hey, be careful.
The lucky few.
Yeah.
I know
Buff Dormeyer.
I got a shirt from Kenton from Adigence.
Oh
So
yeah.
that's-
Yeah. We were proud to being able to fly our flag. And again, solutions for active managers. That is if you're any potential sponsors that are out there or folks that are working within the industry that want to be able to find a community that embraces active management over, yeah, I mean, we have folks that are doing full turnover their portfolio every 1 to 3 days, turn over a portfolio on a quarterly basis or longer basis. So if you're interested in quantitative metrics, if you're interested in charting, technical metrics, I think that's really where we found a niche and one that creates really a family environment where everybody's very collaborative, regardless of where they sit, how long their firm's been open, and yeah, it's really well said. Yeah, it's very well said, Ben.
Yeah, I think we do a good job of integrating the sponsors in some of the events too, because when we were on the boat later on Monday, it's just nice to be able to talk to some of the sponsors there. I was sitting down with Dorsey Wright from NASDAQ. I was sitting down with them. Had a good conversation with the two that they sent over. And I mean, it's nice to see people in a more casual setting sometimes too, just to get to know them as a person, because not only can they provide value to us on the active side, but they can also provide that personal connection. So, it's a lot easier to work with some people that and that's a big part of NAAIM, because there's some sponsors like Guggenheim, Direction, ProShares that have been there for years, and they're able to build those long-standing relationships with a lot of our members. And then I know there was an email thread that one of our members put out right after the conference, and a lot of people were saying one of the biggest values that they see it is not only in the people, but also that the sponsors are geared towards, like you were saying, the active management. So they find, you can bring in a lot of sponsors, but are they always, the best sponsors for the target environment? And then go both ways. Is it good for these sponsors? Is it good for the members that are participating? So it seems like we're figuring out a good blend for both of those. All right, so next up, were there any topics you felt were underrepresented or just kind of missed completely?
For me, there's not really anything that comes to mind. I think the variety of speeches that we had or presentations that we had were huge. Like you talked about already, we had lots of market research companies. We had the AI, two AI presentations. We had the compliance lawyer for the RAA lawyer. We had Mark Ciccini give a really great presentation about how he grew his business from 0 to $100 million AUM in under a year. That was a great presentation. I also liked Peter Atwater's presentation about investing in an era of few good men, where he explained a lot about how emotions impact your investor, not only on a smaller personal level, but also a larger cultural level. And that was really interesting. The only thing that was maybe amiss was the weather was terrible the entire time, but it was kind of comforting to be sitting inside of a conference room the entire time. So I can't complain too much.
I'm so bummed you said weather. I was waiting to bring up weather with this topic because we were going to have our cornhole tournament on the rooftop terrace, if I remember right, but we had to do it inside. Still worked out, but I was a little bummed about that.
I'd say it was maybe even a little bit more fun having it inside, because then you had to dodge the hanging light fixtures with your
That's
cornhole
true.
bags.
Made it harder to get those credit hours from the cornhole tournament,
Very true.
Yeah, I'm not sure what was missed, because I don't really know if this is within the mandate of the typical subject matter, but I think we only had really the one, or at least from my memory, with Tony Nash of Complete Intelligence, like a global or macroeconomic view, or some more like fundamental analysis type of subject matter. So I mean, I think it's always nice to have more than one opinion about that. Certainly he represented one that you don't hear a lot, and had a lot of conviction and certainty in the way that he looks at the worlds, and opportunities for trade war scenarios to being able to become less yeah, less violent, or maybe violence not the right word, but less acute, or to be solved over this period of time. And that was really nice. It was an interesting way to look at it, but more things like that, I would say might be underrepresented. Fundamental analysis, or global macro perspectives. But that maybe, yeah, maybe that's for a different audience.
No, that was great, Kenton. I think that's a good point. And actually, on the last day, we had the round table, or the discussion, where we had a few members on stage, 4 members on stage, talking about their personal stock picks, and talking about the fundamentals and value investing with their stocks and how they're using them in portfolios. And that was interesting. It was nice to hear from some of the name members as well. But totally, that was definitely a segment that we didn't touch on this year as much with a big presentation.
Yeah, and then when you jam it on the last day, on like one of the last panels, it was still really well attended. I could only attend half of it for catching my flight, but yeah, Asher and Jim, and Jim up there, they also provided some of that individual stock picking, individual security analysis that I was talking about there. But always nice to see a little bit more of that if possible.
I agree. We also didn't touch much on crypto at this one. I know that we've talked about it more and covered it more in the past, and crypto's been extremely volatile this year, so maybe it's not really a priority for us to spend time on, since time is limited. But yeah, I think there's definitely opportunity there still too.
Would like to talk about what we had before. It was King's View Investment Management and Buff, who helped us with the most popular sponsor gift of socks.
Yes.
Note to self, note to Adigents, don't be surprised if we come correct with socks next year. Hold me to it.
I'll
I
do that.
will.
But
Yeah,
thanks.
because I missed out on those, so I'm definitely going to hold you to that.
I'll find out how many Buff brought, and we'll double it.
That's probably smart.
Get an extra buffer on the sock number. I like it. Um, so one last question here. If somebody was on the fence with joining or going to the NAAIM conference, what would you tell them?
I would tell them it's really easy to enter. It can be kind of intimidating to think 3 days in a financial setting and you have to be on point every day. But everyone is a small business owner, and a lot of them have a lot of camaraderie. And I've been pulled into multiple conversations by almost everyone now, from the leadership that have been around for a long time, like Paul Schatz, down to new members. Um, I also really liked the chance, like I said, to connect with younger people at the event, and learn from some of the more established members. There was also a great solo advisor meeting on the first day for people that are just starting out their business or don't have a large team of support behind them, to talk about, some of the challenges that they face starting up their business or getting established. So, great resources, great connections, and like I said, great sponsors and solutions for your business.
Yeah, well said again, Spencer. I think, it can be really lonely out there. If you're depending on what you're trying to do, and what corner of the market you're in. And, it's one of those activities that you can be a solo entrepreneur, solo entrepreneur with a variety of different resources around you. So, in other ways that you find or build community, or it's difficult, and so to be able to break a silo, and take a little bit of a risk to go and meet some new people. I think what I notice with NAAIM, it's sort of barbells around what or advisors are looking for. Let's say about maybe 60-70% is on the investment management side, and looking at new strategies, and new ways to navigate the market, new ideas. And the other half are just trying to figure out how it's a good ways to grow their business. So it's that dual footing of, capital formation, and investment management, as well as best practices for everything between, legacy planning, and other wealth management services that go along with being an advisor to your clients. So, as people are trying to go out there and understand what does it mean to be a trusted advisor to your clients, to be able to help guide them through, good times, harder times, planning for the future, and then also, being able to sharpen up your analytical skill with investment practices. All of the above you're going to find here. So if that resonates you and you want to find community around that, and if you get knocked out in the first round of cornhole, good. Then hopefully it won't be me next year.
Yeah, a big thing I've heard is a lot of people, kind of see the organization almost like family now. I mean, some members have been in there for so long, but even the newer members, you come in and pretty soon you feel like you've been there for a while. And everybody is very open to help people grow and learn. I mean, they're very open on what they're doing and, bouncing around ideas. There's not really this, oh, that's my competitor over there, I need to kind of take a step back. You even see it with the sponsors sometimes. There was a fun thing with Direction and Guggenheim and mutual funds and ETFs kind of taking a quick stab at each other but it was all in good fun. It was kind of fun to watch. So it's definitely a very close, tight-knit group, but they're very open to the new members coming in. So if sometimes you're like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to fit in with this organization, that's what I would tell them. Like, no, they're like family. You're going to fit in and you're going to feel like you've been there by the end of the first conference. And speaking of that, if you missed out and you're watching this, don't worry, because November 3rd and 4th, you have another chance. We have our NAAIM Outlook conference in Chicago. And right now, there is early bird pricing for members at $589. That goes up to, I believe it's
August 1st.
That's through August 1st. The $589 is through August 1st. And then non-members is at $878. So definitely pays to be a member. I believe that goes up around 800 plus after August 1st then. And that's out in Chicago. That's a 2-day conference. So it's not the 3-day conference like this one. It's a little bit shorter. But a lot of the members go to both. And Susan just let me know it's $680 will be the standard price after that August 1st for members. So if you like saving $91, I would sign up right now and see you guys in Chicago. Are either of you going to go there? I know I'm going to be out in Chicago. Kenton or Spencer?
Sign up late, and then that extra budget, that extra $91 goes to the after conference activities, goes to the food. Honestly, as late as you can. There's no reason to save money. I would book it the day before.
I am unfortunately probably not going to be going to the one in Chicago because I'm going to be going to the Schwab conference in Denver. Unfortunately, I think we need the expertise because it is a nightmare of a platform to experience. I'm sure many of you can relate with that. So I'm going to be booked.
Oh, they were thinking about sponsoring.
Oh, really?
I'm joking. I'm messing around. All right.
Well, any other last thoughts before we wrap this up? Maybe something I didn't cover in the questions that you may want to make sure you get out there?
I really appreciated that this year we did it on the West Coast and we kind of flip-flop between West and East Coast. That's really convenient for people that are in, my neck of the woods.
Thanks again, NAAIM. Another fantastic conference, and we'll be back at it.
Perfect. Well, if either of you want to go practice cornhole with me so we're ready for next year's competition, just let me know.
Virtual cornhole. Now
Oh,
we
yeah.
have an idea.
Maybe Wii cornhole or something.
Yeah.
So, Nintendo Switch.
Well, great.
Yeah,
Well, thank you, both of you, for hopping on here and sharing your thoughts. And we'll catch everybody at the next NAAIM Confidential episode. We'll be back to regular confidential stuff next week on next Friday. So thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.